Thank you. Hello. Um, hello, my daughter's right there. I am Catherine Balsam-Schwaber, and we joined the CA family this January with my twins, Z and Gage. Joining CA in January, in the middle of the year, is one of the many unicorn phenomenons that have happened to me in my life, and I am very grateful to be here with all of you today. So when I was asked to talk about things that I know are true, the first thing that came to mind for me was this idea that unicorns are real. The thing about unicorns is that they may not be exactly what we think. We think of them as magical and mythical and surrounded by music. But in 2016, a group of scientists discovered that unicorns actually were real. They walked the earth thousands and thousands of years ago, and they were 6 feet tall, they weighed 8,000 pounds, they were 15 feet long, and they looked a lot more, oh yes, they're called Elasterium siberion. They looked a lot more like rhinoceros than they did like the magical unicorns we think about today. So this made me think, what does it really mean for us when we think about this unicorn phenomenon, which is actually pretty significant in our culture? Right now, we think about unicorns in food. We think about unicorn cakes, unicorn toast, the well-known unicorn frappuccino, which is absolutely delicious. There's actually a big movement in makeup around unicorn makeup, where a lot of young women, probably some of you in this room, have worn things called unicorn tears on your face, which are supposed to bring you good luck and beauty. And there's no real surprise in why this would happen when the most visual medium in the history of the world is on the rise, known as social. It only takes 13 milliseconds to understand a story in an image. So this example of a young woman taking a unicorn selfie is basically entirely self-explanatory. You don't need any words or any description. You know what you're looking at, and you can tell the story all in one. When we look at startup culture, there's also this idea around unicorn companies. Unicorn companies are companies that rise to $1 billion valuation, and they're pretty unusual when they come from a startup. And they are the most sought after and the most exquisite company imagined on the planet. What's interesting is when you are called a unicorn, or when a person is called a unicorn, it's not always that positive. So I began to think about what it means, and I have a story to share with you. Not that long ago, we moved as a family to a new place. Not Denver, to a different new place. We moved to a new place, and I was in a coffee shop with a woman who was asking me, what brought you here? And I was really excited to tell her it was my new job. I had a big new job, and I was excited. And she said, oh, you are a unicorn. You are a town unicorn. And I thought, this is awesome. It's amazing. I'm a unicorn. It's so magical. My children are going to be so excited when I tell them that I am a town unicorn. But as we began to talk about all of this, it turns out that what she said to me is that working mothers in this town are so unusual that you are a unicorn. And all of a sudden, I felt less like this dancing unicorn and more like an outcast town unicorn, that I didn't really know how I was supposed to feel about it. I worried that I'm a lot more like the rhinoceros unicorn than the magical unicorn that I had always thought of. I was really worried, would I be the only mother who never came to drop off? Would I be the only mother who could never volunteer in the class? Would my kids be constantly disappointed because I wasn't there? But what I realized was, No, that was not the case. And I began to do some investigation. And I learned, talking to other women and talking to other moms, that a lot of the other moms in this community where we were actually worked. But they did things that were different than what I did. And that this woman was judging me on the choices that I was making in my life. And I decided to turn that around and try to own my inner unicorn and celebrate the unicorn in me. So I began to think, what if I am a unicorn? A different kind of unicorn. My first job out of college was working in the Clinton White House. I worked on a movie, The American President, where I had a walk-on role, which you can see later. I worked for a guy named Tom Brokaw as his anchor producer at Nightly News, all before I was 30. I worked in two of the biggest media companies at the time of some of the largest mergers on the planet. And now I work in a company, the reason that we came to Denver, to turn a company that is currently $100 million into $1 billion. So, what if I am a unicorn? What I realized is that essentially we all have a unicorn inside of us. That you can decide whether it's a negative unicorn or a positive unicorn, because it's all about the choices that you make, all about the path that you take. And that if you run towards the things that you are most passionate about in your life, you will be a unicorn when you do the best version of yourself. So not only can you be a unicorn when you follow your path and follow your passion, you actually have a chance of reaching alicorn status. I think that this is a really exciting opportunity when you look inside yourself and you can bring yourself outward. So thank you.